Hello everyone, and welcome to another video in my series in the 2025 online War of the Ring tournament. This is the tiebreaker game against my opponent JZW, and he was unavailable to co-cast, and so I was able to go get special guest Marc M. Hello, Marc.
Hey, how's it going?
Going all right. So, just thought I'd get Marc here for a co-cast, walk through some of the decisions. I think this game had some really interesting decisions, and I think it was a pretty good game. And so let's dive on into it. So one thing we can talk right off the bat is Jay-Z began the bidding at 1 token. I went 3, and he offered 4, which I accepted. Do you have what are your opinions on the tokens, Marc?
So you got 4 tokens to play free.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just about fair. I would say probably 3 makes it a fair game.
Mm.
So I think that's a good call. I probably would have gone for it as well
Yeah.
in your shoes.
Obviously you want that 5th one for the 3rd free muster, but that's pretty asking for it, I would say.
Right, we saw the World Championships in Vegas there, and I believe it was, I can't remember,
I
Rothfield had given infinite tokens or something along those
I
lines.
know every so often at really high level, you just give infinite tokens and call it a day. I
Yeah,
am
and
not
it
quite to
made a
that
difference.
level.
But I mean, infinite tokens is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Four is nothing to sneeze at.
I think 4 is a really excellent number. So I drew into House of Stewards, and so as I said, I accepted free for 4 tokens. I drew into House of Stewards, which is minimal. Faramir's Rangers could be pretty good early. He gets half orcs and goblin and ringwraiths are abroad, so much better cards for him, I would say.
Yeah, probably. Although yours are pretty decent, so nothing to complain about really on either end.
Yeah, at least Faramir's is technically playable when you draw a hand of completely unplayable cards with Gandalf the Grey. That can be kind of annoying.
Oh God, yeah.
All right, so I guess we'll just get on into it. So I think yep, free people, free fellowship. Okay, good luck, have fun. 0 eyes allocated, 0 eyes rolled,
So
and 3 movement.
that's a pattern, right?
Yeah, yeah. I forget if our first game had flat no eyes rolled, but I know he allocated 0 as his first game as Shadow. But 0 eyes allocated, 0 rolled, and 2 musters. So that's about as good as it gets. A few more character dice than the Shadow really wants here, but
Right, absolutely.
can't really complain. And I, of course, have 3 movement fourth if I really, really want it. Um,
So are you sending Aragorn and Boromir to Gondor with House of the Stewards
and
and
actually,
Faramir?
I didn't even think to till a couple turns in that was possible because I was just like, oh well, I guess I move for free. But against 0 eyes, I think it's really hard to justify splitting the fellowship here.
I agree. It's just because it's you, and I know you're like military minded.
Well, we'll have at least one of those moments in this game, I think. So,
You're rebellious malcontent.
I wish I could argue. So he does standard Barad-dûr to Gorgroth. I'm gonna wait a little bit, pass a bunch, and yeah, and see in the chat I know. Oh right, I kind of got Aragorn. Could still get Aragorn. Musters Isengard to war. Gorgroth to Mornon. Okay, so he's insinuating he's going Dewline. I move. He goes to Dagorlad. I move again with a will. He's shuffling north, so No Man's Land. So just rocketing straight for the dew line. And what I do here is I go ahead and spend my first token. I'm going to reverse the turn order here, and I move the elves down the track. So with 2 quote unquote musters, I can either move once and muster, or wait until next round and use like a token or something like that. So he splits his armies, and with only 1 more muster left, he's effectively done unless he wants to skip getting Saruman this round.
Right. I feel like you know your opponent at this point of the series.
A little bit, yeah.
It's like you knew he was going for Lorien.
Yeah, it seemed likely, right? Especially if I'm going to get the elves to war you. either completely like give up on Lorien for a very long time, or you go right now.
Right.
I kind of figure. So I use my muster to put the elves one away from war. He gets Saruman. It's kind of reasonable. Would
Yeah.
you move again here, or would you put the elves to war, or something else?
Yeah, I'm moving because I don't want to be stuck in Moria.
And yeah, that's what I figured. As much as I don't want to roll like 4 Palantirs next round and just be toast, a third move here is just too free for.
Yeah.
So
How
go
many
ahead.
times have we mustered in like the one elite in Thranduil or in Lorien and it just does nothing, you know?
Yeah, and then they just desperate battle it into non-existence or something.
Yeah.
So he gets Morgul Wound and Fighting Urukai, so decent cards. I get Dead Men and Through a Day and a Night. Confusion's nice, but other than that, those are going to be fairly dead cards.
Mm.
Fellowship, okay. 1 I allocated, 1 rolled, but no musters for Shadow.
Huh.
And I get 3 musters and no movement.
Okay-ish.
Yeah, I would have loved 1 movement here at least.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'd
Yeah,
love a move and a will, but
at least he rolled an extra eye and you don't have to feel too horrible.
yeah.
But
And with no
then yeah.
musters, the elves can get to war and muster up before Sauron even arrives.
Right.
So, a little bit different than our other games. I go ahead and pass. He draws a strategy card. Gets Day Without Dawn. Okay. He, moves towards fighting. I go ahead and use the token to put the elves to war. I'm just going to muster the living daylights out of the elves.
Tokens.
And that was both my free musters. Yay!
So where are you keeping your tokens? Usually you see
uh,
them up in the
they're down on the victory point track. They one of them was cleared now.
cool. There's 3 left.
I used a token both the first and second round, so
Oh,
I'm just down to the 2 draw card tokens.
cool. Got it.
He consolidates armies, so he's going to bring that 1 Dunlending probably for a fighting or a Kai on Lorien, or at least to allow the option.
Right. Even though he had Goblin Man anyways.
Right. I get in a good guy in Woodland Realm. And actually, he goes ahead and plays half orcs here, which is interesting. I mean, it's a reasonable card to play with your 1 Palantir. He puts it in Moria. And now I'm really worried he's going to swap and go to Rivendell.
Hmm.
Because if I put 2 musters into Woodland Realm and Lorien, the Elven force pool is going to be pretty low.
Right.
So I still want 1 in Woodland Realm for sure, because the Dew Lines needs
Yeah.
all the help. It's all the help
You
it can get.
you can watch and see what he does Lorien wise.
Right. And then he just stacks on Dimrildale, and I'm like, oh, okay, well then I'm fine here.
That is a really nice defense of the 2 Elven realms.
I'm pretty happy with it. I draw a card and I get power 2 great. So we're in happy town
Oh.
here. He thinks about it and he shuffles Nazgul with that 1 move. I don't know quite else what you would do. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could like start walking around Dale or something like that, but that's not really helpful. And,
Nah. Yeah.
and so I go ahead and put 1 regular in Woodland Realm and 1 regular in Lorien. I figure I start with power 2 great. I go ahead and put Woodland Realm to 5 dice. And then the other benefit of this is I keep 2 Elven elites in case I get Círdan's or Celeborn's at
Yep.
some point, rather
Well done.
than full committing to the defense of Lorien.
The expression on JZW's face when you pull out Power 2 Great.
I'm sure it
Poor
was just,
guy.
yeah, especially if a no musters round 2. Oh man, that would be depressing.
This
And I draw
it looks
Círdan's
so.
ships.
Oh, interesting. It
Um,
looks so good for Shadow up until yeah.
about 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, now he's like, oh, I have these massive armies.
So with this hand, House of Stewards isn't going to do much. I'm pretty sure I threw that one. Yeah. And he
Yeah.
draws into Nazgul Search, and King is revealed. Nazgul Search is all right. King is revealed is not particularly great here for him.
Relentless, yeah.
Yeah, he has
I already have
two
it.
Relentlesses and an Onslaught. He has no Desperate Battles, no Deadly Strifes, no Dread and
Brutal.
Despairs. His battle effects are actually hyper weak right here.
Yeah.
So I did sacrifice by not giving him a ring last round. I did not move.
Right.
So Fellowship 3 moves from Rivendell, 2 turns in, but the elves are completely mustered and ready for the game. So I think that's a fair trade.
Absolutely.
He goes ahead and allocates 1 eye anyway. He didn't by rules have to, but I think that makes sense. You want to give me at least a little bit to think about, I would say.
Mm.
And he rolls
Yeah.
1 more, gets his musters, so he has enough to get Sauron to war and get a Witch King, so that's nice for him. And
Right.
I teased that I wanted him to get
Oh
none,
man,
and I get this wonderful roll. So
gorgeous.
I'm feeling pretty
Yeah,
good
just
right here.
should be able to kill Gandalf here.
One would hope, right? I go
Your
ahead and
your defending days your defending days are over though. There's no those armies are
yeah,
those
that's
elf
what I
armies are
got.
on their own. Yeah.
I go ahead and move immediately. I'm not sure that's strictly necessary, but it's what I chose to do. He gets to miss. Sauron goes to war inevitably. I go ahead and put Power Too Great into play.
Is there a comment? Does he make a comment?
I believe I give a smiley face and hit oi. A little bit of an understatement.
Blood pressure shoots up.
And at least for him, he does have Fighting Uruk-hai is a pretty good card to throw here, I would say. Morgul Wound, I think, would be the character card I would throw here if you want to get rid of it instantly. You could throw Day Without Dawn. That wouldn't be like crazy to blow Power Too Great.
Yeah, those are all good choices. I really have nothing I can add to that.
Okay. He does choose to burn it with a Palantir and burns Morgul Wound and Fighting Uruk-hai. Okay. Of all the cards to have for that, those are pretty decent ones. And you've put me in a position where I am not going to spend this will to get the last elite in Lorien, so you get Lorien at a 2/2/1 at least.
Yep.
I go ahead and move
Draw
again
Celeborn.
because... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say unless you draw Celeborns.
Yeah, exactly. I go ahead and move, and by playing Power Too Great, I have made it so that I only get these 2 moves before I can to trying to kill Gandalf, and he misses again. So that's a little annoying.
Standard behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've had pretty good luck. 5 moves, no hits. 3 moves this round, so I can't really complain too hard.
Yeah. Spoiler: 3 moves this round. Eh?
Yeah. Lorien's put under siege. I tease about a field battle, as you say. I wish it was even sort of kind of made sense here.
Because you would have gone for it.
Oh, I would have. And now this was an interesting thing to me. So if you were Shadow here, what would you do? You have 3 attacks. You could get Woodland Realm under siege, but that's not a great siege there. You're basically just sitting on me so I don't muster.
Yeah, I'm looking at the dwarves here.
Yeah, you're thinking walk around Dale to the east?
Or just right through it.
Oh, through Dale. Okay. Yeah.
It's risky as hell.
Right.
But are you going to go through the effort of mustering the north?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting the Witch King makes sense, obviously, as a first step. He's got to get that dice. He puts it on Lorien because, yep, that makes sense. That's the one place you're going to actually burn cards. I'm passing just because I don't know, just in case this Will of the West finds a desperate home somewhere that isn't moving. But another move here is hard to argue against. He goes against Lorien. I guess just to free up the Witch King as quickly as possible. You know you're going to be spending him here. You know, putting a couple attacks in here. So maybe find out how this goes before you go somewhere
Yeah.
else.
That first round usually is very telling, right? If you have a nice first round, that 2-2-1 can fall pretty easily.
Very, very.
Yeah, probe it, see how it goes. Hopefully not like in the books.
Yeah, yeah. He burns a strategy card. I'm looking at my hand. I definitely want to burn something because I'm about to overdraw. I toy with charge from Círdan's ships, but Círdan's ships is just been too useful down in the south, probably.
No confusion.
Yeah, probably confusion. Maybe the shield wall, but I do shield wall. Interesting.
Field ball, okay.
And he relentless assaults. So nice in the sense that my shield wall discourages the relentless assault from doing anything anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But he chooses to not burn any of his guys. Yeah, we comment on that. That was a not very helpful card for him. And I tease the good thing I didn't crown because he had King is revealed. And he hits 0 hits.
Yeah, it's
So
bad.
shield wall doing its job of sort of not actually preventing hits, but because you played it, luck dictates that there would not be 2 hits.
Yeah, it did its work.
And I get only 1 back, which is a little
Okay.
sad, but he chooses to
You'll
stop
take
and
that.
draw. I don't know. I'd be a little worried if you're going a military game. It might be worth it, but with 0 hits, maybe you just stop the bleeding a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little dangerous if you press here.
Rather
That's a tough
win
call.
for sure slowly than risk it for a quicker win and suddenly get hit 3 times. But he
Yeah,
gets into
exactly.
orcs multiplying again. Maybe a reinforcement, but it's another onslaught, which is not really what you want here.
No, then you put the Witch King at risk.
Yeah, well, that was a tongue twister. Good job. I do choose to go ahead and move here again. I mean, I want to kill
Yep.
Gandalf, and sixth move on round 3 is just can't be argued with. He gets his 6, gets a 2 reveal. That's definitely Gandalf killing territory.
Yes.
And we
Not
pop
even
out
a
on
thought.
Eastimnet. He gets another 2. I think there's a fairly strong argument for a random here, but I choose to
Mm.
not risk it and just take the 2.
Yeah, I would take the 2, 100%. It's always Strider.
No reason to risk the 1 and 6.
Yep.
So
And you give yourself if you need to do some healing, you have something to heal.
right, and yeah, that's a good point. It gives you something to heal. Yeah, good point.
I
And
mean,
then he
fine.
just shuffles armies, and you were right. He's gonna sweep around Dale and go for the dwarves.
Yeah, I wonder. I might have just gone for Dale itself. I mean, yeah, you push the north 2 steps, but you know,
Yeah,
he's got to move. He's running out of time.
and if you're going for the do line, the world where you never take Dale is a little wacky anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You got to
yeah,
take the risk of the north mustering.
I mean, I guess the sort of benefit here is you get a half move down in the south, but I think kind of a neither here nor there to some extent.
Right.
So we collect our dice. Round 4, we prove the Swifter and Tom Bombadil, so unadvantageous. My card draws have been okay. I've got an Ents in hand. I've got Círdan, so I'm set up for some good stuff, but not spectacular draws.
A
He
lot of
gets
character stuff where you could like through a day and a night, like if you had
mm-hmm.
characters on the board. Yeah.
Yeah. He gets dreadful spells and a deadly strife. So that has
Hmm.
some pretty strong draws for him there. Even
Yeah,
just a
I'm wondering.
devilry. Go ahead.
Right. I I'll have to see your rolls, but like the way he's going around the horn there to try to get at Erebor, if you muster the dwarves one step, his attack into Iron Hills will push the dwarves to war and allow you to muster.
Right.
I wonder if he's gonna look. Yeah,
And I'm of course
that.
really excited about that possibility. The only downside is at 4 dice, the
Yeah,
likelihood that he can wait for a round where I don't have 2 musters and just do it. And if I spend the muster early, then he just dogpiles them anyway. And absolute worst case comes to absolute worst case, I've spent half my turn putting an elite in Erebor.
yeah,
And it's like,
true. It's
yeah, that's
tricky.
minimal usefulness, but I'm definitely looking at that. He allocates the 1 eye he must, rolls no more, so a little bit of a
Oh,
strider sprint on our hands with one
yep.
one turn off for the elves to just fully muster, and I get this roll.
Wow, just sprint, sprint, sprint. I mean, you got your Gandalf.
Yep.
He's basically hoping for reveals here. Just slow you down.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Nazgul Search. That'll help.
Yep.
I wonder how he's going to use the dreadful spells. Because I think that could be very strategic here, where he's trying to either hit Erebor or just kill Iron Hills, their Dale, without having to worry about getting people to war.
Ooh, that would be interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. At risk of tipping the game a little bit. I comment that my choices are simpler now. Not much options with this roll. Like, I mean, I
Yeah,
could
go,
move
go,
out of
go.
Woodland Realm to Dale, but like, nah, you run. I go ahead and hide just in case he has like Morgul wound or something. The Will of the West isn't going anywhere,
Right.
and he begins with the dreadful spells in Lorien.
Okay.
Just soften him up.
It
I
reminds me of a lot of Lords of Middle Earth games where people just become so obsessed with Lorien, like it will fall.
get it, get it, get it.
Yeah.
And I hadn't remembered this. I actually teased not in the Iron Hills. That's funny.
So you did think about it.
I guess. And then he hits 3 times.
Oh wow.
So
Nice.
that's that hurts a lot. Lorien is
Mm.
now effectively free.
Yeah, he's got it. With
So
maybe a good army to come down to Rohan.
yeah, go ahead and get Gandalf because there's no way that ain't happening with that will.
True.
Tease about rolling. He hits Lorien with a strategy card. I've got lots of cards and nothing else I'm going to be doing with them. You think you use advantageous or confusion? I mean, I guess you could do sudden strike against the strategy card. I think it's probably advantageous.
Hmm. The confusion is interesting at just trying to get that army reduced, but
Mm,
it's so who the hell knows what he's going to roll. So they're
yeah,
both good choices. You're definitely playing a card though, because you have too many cards.
right. And he's deadly strifing to get them gone, which makes sense. So the advantageous lucked out into being the better one here. Um,
Right.
and he rolls 1 hit on the roll
Hmm.
and barely 2 more on the reroll. So he
Yeah.
barely gets through on the deadly strife,
All he needed.
and I get nothing
Or
back, or 1 back.
net confusion would have reduced his army by one. Would have been the difference, but
Right. So
not
meh.
a big deal.
The Witch King draws into Denethor's Ollie, so maybe something there. Another Devilry of Orthanc is pretty good for this because these guys 6-2-6. That army can definitely go do some fun stuff in either Minas Tirith or Rohan at this point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and
it's scary.
he has a whole round to do it where I have no responses. Like he has 3 movement showing. He could go sit next to Minas Tirith this round yet.
Yeah, good point. And you're nowhere near war. I don't
So
know.
I
That
move
Rohan's tempting too.
right, right, 3 points for effectively free.
Yeah,
I move, he misses, and he
he's
of
got to
course
search you
Nazgul
now.
searches. So good for
Like,
him
there's
that
a
he.
school of thought.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a school of thought where you hold it for the reveal into Mordor, but I think he's just got to slow you down anyway, and he's got to get cards out of his hand.
Right, and he's got a Palantir that. What else are you going to be doing? I guess you could use Ring Wraiths Abroad. That might have been pretty good here to get a fourth turn of attack. You could get all the way to Helton Steep before I do literally anything, maybe. But
Mm,
I'm not sure it's really
true.
worth the. I'm not sure the juice is worth the squeeze.
Right.
So he shuffles the Nazgul around, puts a couple in Iron Hills, but then Witch King in Isengard with two musters
Okay.
showing that he has, you could put the Southrons and Easterlings to war, or we could just, end this thing, so to speak.
So those musters are slated for Orthanc,
It
Saruman's
certainly
boys.
looks like it, right? Um, I get revealed one
But I want.
over, and then I choose to reverse to use a token. I draw a strategy card. I'm looking for scouts is really all I'm looking for here. Um,
Just Celeborn.
and I draw Celeborn. So I have a daylight, which is nice, but the the thing that didn't happen here that I was just certain would is that he would take this opportunity to get Erebor under siege and possibly
Right.
just burn it down. And that's why I was a little surprised the Witch King didn't go over there.
Yeah.
I can't reinforce Erebor, and a 9-1-2 probably just wins that. But maybe he's worried I already have a scouts.
Yeah, his eyes clearly on Rohan, and I'm wondering if there was a way to get both of them.
Yeah, because like
Probably
Rohan's not going
was.
anywhere. But I mean, to be fair, neither are the dwarves. So
He's thinking you'll maybe move on to Westamnet though with your first eye next turn and make it just a little bit harder.
that's true. That's true.
But yeah, that's a tough call. I'd be looking at ways to try to get both. Maybe just sit on Iron Hills with one attack, and then yeah, muster in Orthanc, and sit on Fords of Ison so that you're ready. Basically, there's nothing you can do with your first eye next turn type of thing to really change the fate of either place.
I like that. I like that. There's always a risk when you play any game of I did some of both, meaning you got neither. But I think
Yes.
I think that one is a pretty good. I like that idea.
I, w- I wonder. Maybe he's also afraid that you've got Dane's Guard, and
Right, and I've been digging pretty hard through the strategy deck. I'm 6 in, so not completely
yeah,
unreasonable.
right.
Uh, he goes ahead and does the double upgrade in Isengard. Okay, I pass. He just regular musters an elite there.
Fair.
Pass, and he hits forts. No card from him. I think about a card, and I use the confusion. I think
Ah,
that
nice.
has the potential to be pretty good. And he doesn't roll any ones, but he doesn't roll any hits. So I'll take
Tough.
it.
Did he have any cards that could have helped with Fords?
Let's
Which
see.
is all, which is
He has a
always a very
Devilry.
pivotal.
I guess he's decided Denethor's Folly is more useful as
Right.
effect, or maybe he's just saving it for like the siege.
Yeah, and Devilry won't work there, as far as I remember. It's got to be a siege.
Uh, I'm glad someone's paying attention. Good job. Yeah, Stronghold. So yeah.
Yeah, that was one of your tests in the trivia game.
Oh man, yeah. I do have one more of those slated. I have all the questions. I even did a dry run with someone just to make sure they weren't crazy. Just haven't got around to recording and editing it.
Nice. Well, that was good fun. By the way, would Onslaught have done anything?
I mean, you could have. I mean, obviously, he might also. It wouldn't help against scouts, but you could have used it here.
Yeah, I guess that's the fear is that you were holding a scouts and you don't want to blow a good card.
Although, maybe you get one hit on the regular, and then how many do you onslaught? Like two? You don't have very many hit points here.
No, but the other flip side of that is that you don't need many hit points to take a one hit point Helm's Deep.
Sure. Well, but and then here's the so
But then you got
I will
Rohan at
address
war.
this in
Yeah.
a quick sec. I get the one hit, so he takes reduces an elite and moves out with one elite. So I'm showing
Mm.
a character dice. I have an
Yeah.
Ents. What do you think
Oh
about
boy.
that?
Oh boy.
Would
Oh,
you?
that's a tough one.
Do you think you'd take? And I have and I have a We Prove the Swifter, which would be pretty reasonable to play right now as a secondary character card.
Right. You could just yeah, send some help. Oh boy, that's tough. It's all about that roll. Are you gonna get the two hits?
And it's a 50-50 to get 2 hits on one end card. Um,
Yeah.
so I sat
Killing
here,
Saruman is so good.
and it would be near game winning right now to get Saruman.
Yeah.
So I sit here and I say, I think I'll be a minute, and I was a minute. I was just sitting there staring at it,
Uh,
and I
I'm
think
going for it probably.
I was gonna say I think you know me enough that
Yeah.
I burn it, and I only get one. So
Yeah.
shucks. But
I think it was the right call, but I have the pessimist in me that would have made me doubt.
well, and
But
it's
I think
Shorn
it's the
Dart
right
too,
play.
right? It's the probably the best end
Yeah.
battle effect. And this was a slight error on my part in my thinking. I was like, oh, and I have a Daring Defiance, so if I get some captains in Helm's Deep, that could be really good. Oh wait, I'm spending the Daring Defiance to make this happen. So as soon as I
Yeah,
played it, I
yeah.
sat there and I was like, oh shoot, that maybe isn't the best way of doing that. Um,
Not a huge. Oh, but that's interesting. Okay,
well,
so you're
so
going for the
I
defense.
I do this and then I like move him around a whole bunch and think about where would you put
Okay.
who would you split out if anyone, and where would you put them?
Right. So you have what a total of yeah, just the level plus two. So just four movement on that for
Level
Legolas.
+2, yeah. So four, so I can reach Helm's Deep, I can reach Pelargir, I reach most anywhere. Can't quite reach the
Right.
dew line. Well, I guess I could. I could put a whole bunch of people in Dale.
And since it's a Strider sprint, we're not separating Aragorn. Yeah,
Right.
Dale
Dale seems
makes
a bit
doesn't.
ambitious because he has 2 attacks showing. He'll just attack and kill it.
Yeah. So Helm's Deep is, I mean, sorry, Edoras is terrifying for the Shadow, yeah, because they end up putting Rohan to war very soon, and then they just stare down the barrel of if you roll a bunch of musters.
And then it's just coming right on
Yeah,
back.
yeah, I think Helm's Deep is too risky, so probably Edoras. Yep,
Mm.
I think that's a good call.
And would you just do Legolas? Would you do someone else? Would you bring a Hobbit for stabbing the Witch King?
No, I'd keep the Hobbits in the Fellowship because it's still a Strider sprint. I'd probably do either Gimli or Legolas because of axe and bow,
Mm-hmm.
and you still, have Horn out there. So I think that's the right call.
Okay. What I do in the end, which I'm not sure I fully agree with, is I double stack in Helm's Deep.
Ooh, okay,
Um,
that's
I'm kind of putting
high
all the eggs
leverage.
in this basket.
High leverage.
Yeah, but
Um,
he has 2 attacks showing. He might just wipe it.
right, exactly. But if he doesn't, he's in a world of absolute pain.
Right.
It's a high leverage play. You've kind of put the corruption game back on the table to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
If you have bad luck, I mean, you'd have to pull some bad tiles.
Right.
Interesting. But you're a fighty type of guy, so I like it.
Well, yeah. My thought process, I guess, was I've committed to doing this, just playing the Ents and not doing the We Prove. I think the We Prove the Swifter is a good play in generic.
Mm.
Um, lets me get some stuff out on the board. I don't think anything in Gondor makes sense. I don't think the Dew line makes sense. So it's either just Helm's Deep or Edoras, kind of as you've been saying. And my worry was if I stack in Edoras, he just ignores it and makes me spend the dice to come take Helm's Deep back or just do nothing. And
True.
then a 3-2-5 takes a 3-0-1 without too much trouble and can retreat into that siege and be just fine. So unless I threaten a military victory, Edoras having captains doesn't do anything for me, per se.
Okay.
So I
Yep.
think this was pretty desperate, but it's what I did.
It's funny that you could have actually separated Strider and with Dead Men. pull him out of the
Oh,
seat. I'm not mistaken, right?
that would have been fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, fun. Probably not good, but fun.
Yeah. If it wasn't a tournament game.
Yeah,
So he's going to
precisely.
bring the what's left from the Lorien army down to Parthkilla Brown. This kind of makes sense to me.
Yep.
I'd be fairly tempted to just get Helm's Deep under before something goes wacky, but stacking on board and getting the army moving makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, if you pull Aomer next turn, he's gonna cry.
And he actually retreats an elite from forts just to make absolutely certain I don't draw Ents and snipe Saruman.
Yeah, he met his maker there for a second.
Yeah, he
Yeah, yeah.
suddenly
We've all
can't.
been there.
He draws into Candles on Corpses and another Deadly Strife, so that's concerning for me. I get Athelas and a Scouts, so that's nice.
Yeah,
Special.
candles. You know,
Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say candles. If he rips off a three, suddenly he's got corruption possibilities.
Right, and then in direct counter, I draw Athelas. So if I rip off a three, corruption game is immediately back off the table.
True, true.
And the Scouts is really nice for Iron Hills. So if I do get that one muster, I get to have my cake and eat it too. Um,
Oh man.
so
Yeah.
that'd be nice. He allocates one eye, gets two more, so 3 attacks showing, and I get a pretty good move here. I could theoretically hide triple move, but against 3 eyes and with a hunt pool with a lot of reveals, I don't think I'm making Mordor this round.
Right, exactly. At the start of the turn, as free people, you will make that decision. I'm either going for Mordor and I'm not, or I'm not. And seeing all your military possibilities, I agree with you that you do not. You probably just hide the Fellowship and then just work on maybe making one move, but
Make
work on your
make
defenses.
make it likely or sure I make it next round. I mean, if I dedicate literally the whole round, hide, move, hide again, move, hide again, move, I could make it. But that's the whole round, and then I'm toast. And
Yeah.
but maybe
So
there's an argument there for that.
maybe instead of hiding the Fellowship, do you move into Westamnet with that hybrid, and then Shadow has a decision to make?
I like
Attack
your
it, in
thinking.
which case,
I like your thinking.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I
he
have a
scouts out of
scouts.
it, or
I would
exactly.
love to scouts out of it. So I think about it for a minute, but I do that. What I think about is the other half move. I think about abandoning Iron Hills. Um,
Hmm.
I don't like it because then it just gives him a free half move sometime to go take Iron Hills. I kind of like that it's taking up his time. I
Okay.
think this was maybe a bit ambitious to do this. I did think
Yeah.
about abandoning Woodland Realm, leave a guy or two there and then reinforce Dale to threaten salvation of Erebor.
Right. Yeah, I
But
probably the safe move was Iron Hills there.
yeah, definitely the safe move. And if you're not going to do that and you're not going to put out a Woodland Realm, there's almost nothing else that makes sense. You could like put out Gileath to West Rondor or something stupid like that. But like, I don't know. This old forest road I think was pretty anemic.
Yeah,
Uh,
Woodland Realm into Dale is pretty. It's aggressive as hell, but he doesn't have that many attacks.
right. He only has 3 attacks, so the best he could do, even if I did literally nothing to fight him back, would be put Woodland Realm under siege. And like, I would see it coming, and I would half move back with part of a will. And so like, okay, then you've just wasted your time.
Exactly. So it's almost like trolling the shadow there. It's an
I
interesting one.
I think it might have been worth because right now Woodland Realm is just going to sit there for forever, and he's going to ignore it right until he has either a big enough army to take it, or just ignore it and make me do something with it. So maybe while I have time to
Yeah.
do something with it, maybe it's time. Maybe that would have been better.
The Great Fear is all those cards that allow you to move on Palantirs and
Right, right, yeah. And I've
maybe.
seen
Yeah.
ring wraiths are abroad. I think. No, is he still holding that? He's holding it. So yeah, I've seen none of them. I haven't seen black captains. I haven't seen any of the shadows lengthens moving anything like that. So
Mm.
So he puts Helm's Deep under before I can get my other half move. I think that makes sense. It is a little risky. I have 5 dice versus 5 HP.
Like, yeah, now he's stuck doing things inefficiently.
Man, if I don't think I thought of it at the time, but I have 3 leadership and a sudden strike.
Yeah, if that goes well.
That I mean, it's an all or nothing field battle nonsense land, but I take the safe move and just go under.
And now you have a Rohan that's damn near at war.
Damn near. He won't want to move around West Emnet to get to Helm's Deep, so he's going to want to attack it. I hide with the character die, since I've decided I'm not going to make to Mordor this round. I don't need to spend the wills early. Go ahead.
Did you think about moving into forts with one?
With half a guy just to delay his life. I thought about, well, what I thought about was retreating there. I didn't really think about moving there, just because I already didn't have a great half move for the other half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I going to do?
I don't even.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's good. I'm sort of gaming it in my head right now.
Yeah.
Because it costs him, instead of a half move he's going to use to get into forts.
And he only has 2 attacks showing.
Yeah, it's definitely a waste for him. It'll put, the second he attacks anything, he's got to deal with Rohan being at war.
Right.
Maybe you have better things to do with those wills.
And I'm thinking I do really want to move twice this round if I can, so that I have a near guaranteed Mordor next round. Because if I'm 2 steps from Mordor next round, I'm risking having to spend a ring to get to Mordor, which is not my favorite.
Yeah, once we drew Athelas, then don't really have to worry about corruption so much. You don't have to worry about a second move against 3 eyes so much.
Right. He ring wraiths are abroad, which is slightly annoying because then he gets to stack on the Fellowship. And then he puts the Witch King in Fangorn and attacks Westimnet, which I think makes a lot of sense with that card.
Yeah, it's a good play.
He chooses no card. I think this would be a great opportunity to cycle away an Onslaught that you don't feel like you'll need, but maybe that's just not worth it.
Yeah, like you've got to kill those forces, right? You're thinking like, I do not need this army mustering on me in Aedoras.
Right. Unfortunately for him, I have the scouts. I do consider scoutsing to Fords, but then they would just die. So I go to Aedoras. And that's the end of that. This is a little bit ambitious. I do go ahead and put that muster into 2 regulars. So if he takes Aedoras, I can retreat to Fold and just continue to be a giant pill.
It's the right play. You don't have any elves that you need to muster anywhere.
Right.
I don't know. Do you have any mustering cards that you need to play?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Celeborn's, which does, I could pre-play Círdan's in Dol Amroth, but not yet. The Southrons and Easterlings aren't even at war, so although we might put them there this round.
Yeah, so you're making a massive headache for the poor Shadow player here in Rohan.
The one thing I think you're right, and that was obviously my intent. The one thing I think, well, I'll play his turn out and then I'll comment. He attacks Aedoras with the army move. Okay, plays a strategy card. I have some good stuff, but nothing too crazy. I don't think a Daylight's worth burning here,
No.
given the sieges I need to withstand. So he deadly strifes Aedoras.
Oh, he wants this thing dead. Okay,
We're done now. And there they go. And I get 1 back. So that's annoying. And he, of course, just puts 1 regular in there. So draws into a swarm of bats / shadows moving. So that's nice. I need to get moving, so I move. I'm safe. Nope, I'm not. The reroll catches me. And it's a 1 no reveal. So I will, of course, just take that, especially with Athelas in hand.
100%.
And then he attacks Fold. So we're just not playing around with Rohan. We're just not going to participate. I of course play.
You
Good.
It's been so expensive for him.
Right, and this is what I was going to comment on. So like you're in West Emnet with that army. I have a 2-1-0 in Edoras and a guy in Fold. I'd be really tempted, I think. Find some other half move that you want, like put the Southrons and Easterlings to war and move South Rune to East Rune or something like that. And then half move most of your army onto Helm's Deep and just get that dead. What am I going to do? Spend like 6 dice in a Strider Sprint game coming to retake Helm's Deep? Like,
No, you could cause trouble in Lorien, though. I mean, we've all seen that.
that's true. Go retake Lorien, or at least make him prevent me from retaking Lorien. That's true.
I honestly can't blame the guy. Like, we've been bitten by those little slowly building armies.
Yeah. So he has, as he says, been there, done that before. So and then he just completely splats Fold. Now on the bright side, Fold did take a hit. So now he has, even if he consolidates on Helm's Deep with the 2 armies, he only has a 4-3-5, which really should be enough, but it's not like tons extra.
Yeah.
I get my
He's
second.
probably got it, though.
Oh, he's got it. Yeah, probably. I get my second move. The Nazgul does his job again, and this time it's a reveal. So that's kind of annoying, but reasonable.
And he's put no red tiles in, so
Right.
Mordor's not going to be too bad so far.
2 musters, puts Sauron's Easterlings to war. I think that's the pretty evident move here. You threaten Day Without Dawn. You turn on Corsairs, which he doesn't have yet. He's had the other 2 Deadly Strifes. But you got to at least pretend, because you've got 2 in Lorien, quote unquote 2 in Helm's Deep. Any 2 cities of the 3 that you want. You get Corsairs at some point. That's 6 points. You don't need that. You need Erebor and 1 more, and there's just the cities rather. So that wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, I can see why he's trying to focus on Day Without Dawn. I feel like you've rolled a lot of wills.
That's a good question. You'll be able to see that the viewer won't. I am +2 on wills, so a few high, but not crazy land.
Right. They don't matter as much now, anyways.
I draw into Elven Rope. He gets Shelob's Lair. I get Riders of Theoden 1 turn too late, so suck. But Daylights are good. And then his other card is another Swarm of Bats. So probably
Okay.
I would throw the Orcs Multiplying here. I don't think you need an Onslaught anywhere. No, he kills a Swarm of Bats. Interesting.
No, yeah. I'd probably get rid of Orc.
Yeah. Interesting. Fellowship is obviously okay. 1 eye allocated, 1 rolled, 4 attacks showing. So enough to get some stuff done. I only get 1 move, but theoretically I only need 1 move. And we know he hasn't drawn Cruel Weather, but with the 1 token I have remaining, I can save my move for the last step and near guarantee it.
Smart.
So that's nice.
Smart. I keep looking for tokens next to the dice, so I have been not thinking about them. That's a very smart move.
So I get a bunch of musters. Unfortunately, these musters are kind of not useful. Like, I have Círdan's ships I'm going to want to rip at some point. And that's it. I could get my pre-muster on the dwarves. Yeah, so...
Yeah.
I go ahead and hide the Fellowship first.
Strider, yeah.
I'm not sure that was the correct first move. Like, what am I worried about? A Morgul Wound or a card that's only when it's revealed? Like, okay, that'd be bad, but I think I should have pre-mustered the dwarves.
Yeah, it's his obvious. Well, he's going to go for Helm's Deep, but as far as putting something under siege, it's got to be Erebor next.
Right, and this is one of the few turns where I would have had 2 musters and the time to do that. So I think that was a bad thing, and then he takes advantage of it and hits Iron Hills first. So I will not get my free elite in Erebor, and I don't even have a scouts to get away.
He probably thinks you have Dane for sure. The way you've completely not helped
yeah.
dwarves at all.
I've mind games him. He does swarm of
Exactly.
bats to make sure I don't scouts. And he gets his hit, and I get one back, so at least I get the hit. But now the dwarves are just now I've lost a guy for no reason, basically.
Yeah, and you're looking at the guy's at 7 points, right? If he gets Helms and
Right.
Erebor.
Erebor, Helm's Deep, and then Dale is a near free thing unless I defend with Woodland Realm. Like, ugh. I'm kind of actually a little bit on the ropes here.
Yeah, it's the tightening up, which is what you like to see, an exciting game.
Yeah. He musters Sauron Elite in South Rune, which is illegal, so we fixed that.
Yeah, that's weird. I was like,
That's not a card I remember. So he goes ahead and double stacks Elites in South Rune.
I wonder
I,
why.
I'm not sure. I think part of it's just what else do you want to do with those musters? Like make wargs. That's not going to do anything. You could make Dunlanders and threaten a 4 cities, I guess.
I'd see his cards again, but
Yeah. Let's. You don't
he
have
doesn't have a
Corsairs
Shadows
yet.
Gather.
You have Denethors, but putting 2 elites in Minas Morgul feels pretty weak.
Hmm.
I think it's just one of those like, just in case Erebor goes completely sideways, just
Right.
make sure kind of thing.
Hmm.
I think for a long time, I think for a long time because I just have absolutely no idea what to do with these dice. I do not, pardon me, I do not want to muster any more elves in Woodland Realm
No.
because Círdan ships is a near necessity in the south. So I go ahead and put Gondor towards war. I think that at least makes sense.
Yep. Solid.
He starts shuffling armies, and thankfully he tips his hand that there's no Corsairs here.
Aha. Yeah.
So then I don't feel bad putting my Palantir into Círdan's ships in Pelargir. Make it so he can't just walk over that way too easily.
Hmm. Okay.
You would save it yet?
Um, or at least put it in Dol Amroth.
You think so? Just guarantee that stronghold doesn't fall, as opposed to doing like some sort of retreating action.
Yeah, I think it's the old if gets a deadly strife with a bunch of hits.
And then it's just, oh well, we're dead. Yeah, yeah, there is that.
Yeah, tough call. I mean, I don't think it's a bad move. I think it's just a little bit more risky, but it has more upside, like you said. It makes the entire travel for him painful.
And he only has 2 attacks showing right now. He's burned ring wraiths, but not black captains. Um, so he's probably not getting to either place. I mean, he could get to Minas Tirith right now, um, which could be concerning.
Yeah, I wonder if he's trying to leverage Denethor here. So
So
you need Pelargir and either Minas Tirith or Dol Amroth to win the game, basically. He's gonna
right,
get Helm, and he's gonna get Erebor.
he does a pretty weak half move to just put 1 elite in Iron Hills. I do not think that was worth it. I think you move Eastrune to Vale of Carnan
Hmm.
and then, like take Dale and just sit there. But maybe he just didn't want to take that time. I guess just want to make sure the stack is there.
I feel like your bluff that you have Dane is absolutely paying off. Like I
Yeah.
think he's 100% expecting you to ramp up there.
Uh, well, in here I have 2 dice showing, and I don't know if he has anything. And another thing about hiding that, so it's a little weird here. He has 2 dice showing that could be tile draws, and the hunt
Hmm.
pool is over half reveals.
Yeah, there has not been a single tile draw card. Yeah.
Right. So I'm actually a little nervous. So I reverse the turn order now to make sure I have enough to hide if he plays a tile draw card and then
Fair.
move. So I draw a strategy card. I'm of course looking for Danes, and I
Hmm.
get Kindred, which is okay and advantageous. Will be fine.
Better than
He
nothing.
puts Helm. He attacks Helm's Deep. I'm gonna burn a card just because I need to burn a card. I daylight
Ooh.
versus an onslaught, which I think makes sense here.
Absolutely. You need to last as long as you can with those 5 dice.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is where Onslaught is going to be absolutely fantastic for him because even if I hit 5, you still burn it out. He does get 1. I only get 2, which really sucks. The 5 ones in a row there was not my favorite. But
I feel like your combat rolls have not been good. I don't think the shadows have been great either, but
mine have been
it seemed to
a
not.
hair under average, but not crazy.
Yeah.
They've mattered. I've gotten almost all my onesie twosies, but my
Hmm.
sieges haven't gone well. But he has 8 HP and an onslaught. I think you uh,
You could the
burn
whole
a
thing. Yeah.
lot of it. He chooses to only do 2. I would have gone all 4 for sure, and just not
1000%.
and just get this done, get those captains gone. But he just rolls 2 sixes, so that works out well.
He knew.
Yeah.
Very efficient.
So I think in retrospect, if it played exactly the same, the captains in Edoras and then in Westimnet would have worked pretty well. But I think he would have just ignored them. I don't know. I don't want to backwards it too hard. The short thing is the captains did nothing in Helm's Deep.
Yeah. What probably would have happened is he would have gotten Helm's Deep, but you'd have a force, especially with Riders of Rohan, that would have built up, and you'd be just harassing him, and he'd be afraid you'd go for Lorien probably.
Yeah, even if I just
Hard
sit
to,
in Westimnet with a decent army and then split off like 2 of them with a captain to go take Lorien.
especially if you had through in a day and a night, through a day and a night, which I don't remember if it was
Oh yeah,
gone
I
by
burned
then.
it as a confusion. I think it forwards, but yeah,
That's a really fast, like you're right on the doorstep of Lorien, and you can get 2 points back.
and then
He would have gotten
that
Helm's
is
Deep either way.
and 2 points. Lorien being recaptured for him is nearly game. Like that is very hard to recover from here.
Yeah, it's utterly demoralizing as a shadow player too.
Um, he gets monsters roused, so a desperate battle from the Witch King draw, which that's good. He needs combat cards. He's gotten his Deadly Strifes on time, but other than that, he's been a little lacking on good combat cards.
Hmm.
I go ahead and move. So he could have Cruel Weather, but he could have a tile drawing card too. So I figured I'd rather move now. If he has Cruel Weather, fine. Then I ring move. But if I move and then get revealed, or he doesn't have Cruel Weather, then I get to muster the dwarves, and then I actually get my elite after all.
Yeah, you get it unless he has an attack on a
Unless he has
talent
an
tree.
attack, which at this point I think is just black captains.
Right.
So, and I
But you still
successfully get to Mordor, and he sits
get a
there with
bit of
this
red,
dice showing for a while,
red
and
tile
just
probably.
just chucks in the red tile. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hey, that's a game changer.
it
To
could
draw
be,
it.
could be, and then I get the dwarves to war. So Erebor will get an elite. I still haven't drawn Danes. If I get Danes, then Erebor is like a big problem, or at least has the potential to be.
Mm.
It
Time is running out.
at this point, pre round turn 7 card draws, who do you think's in favored?
I'd go free people. Um, the dice are gonna matter here, like incredibly. Like if you roll no movement or if he
Hmm.
rolls no attack, like we're now in this super high leverage. Like every little bit of bad luck is gonna really hurt.
Hmm. And I get
So
into Mordor
yeah,
hidden, so that's important. That's a free move, quote unquote.
he's close to his 10, but he's got a lot of it's gonna take dice.
Hmm. He gets breaking, which probably isn't going to be a thing here, and Ologhai. So the Ologhai could be pretty instrumental. I get what do I get? Axe and bow. I'm just not well. In addition to it not being valid and Legolas and Gimli being dead, it's not going to be helpful here. So I'm sure I throw that. Yeah.
Well,
So
that
I
was a thematic thing, eh? That you
yeah
did. Like you should have put Boromir.
yeah.
Well, then again, maybe not, because then you're just gonna lose Horn of Gondor anyways.
On the bright side, I get another daylight. So my defensive draws have been actually pretty fantastic since the mid game. So I have 2 daylights and an advantageous position showing when Erebor is about to be needing all the help it can get.
Yeah, I might revise my analysis that
Hmm.
Free people, if you are ahead, it's only by a hair because 5 points is where you want to be when Frodo hits Mordor, like roughly.
Right. And he's got a pretty big army. He's got some extra Mumakil in the east, so as without Danes, I do get one free elite into Erebor, but without Danes, Erebor will fall against those, armies, or at least fairly likely, right? And then
Yeah.
Dale will fall if you want it to. And if you don't feel like going for Pelargir, so he just needs one more siege, but it has to be Minas Tirith or Dol Amroth, right? You're not going to get anything in the northwest, so.
Hmm. Exactly, and you're not touching Thranduil.
Right. Unless I move out in order to save Erebor and something goes catastrophically wrong.
Yeah, maybe that was why he was mustering so much in South Rune. The
Mm.
fear of Woodland Realm army.
And I was thinking about if I'd had like a help unlooked for, and I can shuffle a couple
Oh
HP
wow.
over to Dale and then make a help unlooked for count, like that would have really mattered.
Oh God. Help on look for is powerful even when the Free People has like a 2 unit army. Can you
Right.
imagine if it's like a big army like that?
So
The 2 leadership. Wow. Yeah.
one I allocated, he chooses to make it a military fight. He rolls only 3 attacks, but a fourth one if he musters the mouth.
Yeah, you gotta muster the mouth ASAP.
And I get that.
That's so classic. Like that was always
Ah,
in the back of my mind. Like if you just stop rolling movement, suddenly a wonderful looking game just turns to shite.
yeah. I mean, one muster, great. I get my elite in Erebor. A second muster, great. If he attacks Gondor, I get an elite in Minas Tirith. The third and fourth musters are when I start to have problems.
And no hybrids, like that's
No
just
hybrids, no character movement, no wills. I do have a Palantir that can play Athelas, so that's nice. But
yeah.
so
That's
at
just about
best,
as
I get a
bad
ring
as
move.
just about the worst you could have gotten. So now
Right,
you got to look at you're probably going to spend three rounds at least in
in
Mordor.
Mordor, right? And I have to have a good second round in Mordor to threaten the third round.
Yeah.
So I say dot dot dot. Yeah, that's a little rough. So I take the obvious move, get a guy in Erebor, and he takes the then obvious move of putting Erebor under siege. Yep. I whine a bit.
He's like, play Dane, go ahead, play Dane.
You go ahead and play Dane, and I play Athelas. So
What?
I figure I'll get that out of the way in case I feel like killing Strider in a bit. I do roll 3 heals, so that's nice.
Yeah, corruption's pretty much off the table here.
Yeah, he would have to get hyper lucky and purposefully allocate eyes, and it's just not a thing.
Not happening.
Um, we talk about the dice. He does attack us Gileath, so he especially with no hybrid, I can't move, or anything like that. I can't, or any attacks showing, and I obviously am going to ring move. If you go for Minas Tirith, you're 8-2, and he rolls 2 6s, which didn't hurt at all. I get one back, but you get a pretty good stack on top of Minas Tirith,
Yeah, and he's
and
definitely playing Denethor.
right, and you're holding Denethor, so I think that makes sense. You can shuffle over all the Nazgul, either now or after Erebor, and so he's showing where his points are, and then Dale for the 10th. I think he's got a pretty strong shot. He's of course done everything he's going to do this round. He gets the mouth.
I might
So
actually,
go ahead.
as you, I might start mustering in Pelargir.
Oh, just to threaten to
He
come
needs
and
one
rescue.
point. Yeah, he needs 1 point, and you can protect Dale.
Say that again. Oh, like move Woodland Realm out, you mean?
Exactly. So the way I see it, he's got Erebor. He's gonna get his Tirith. He'll be
Probably.
1 point shy. So he's looking at Pelargir or Dale, most likely.
Well, and he's definitely not getting it
And
this round. He just doesn't have the dice for it.
oh no, no,
So
no. I just mean like that's his plan.
yeah.
And so since you have 2 musters now, and Dale you can protect next turn theoretically, unless he takes it quick. I would just maybe start mustering in Pelargir.
Yeah, just to
I
prevent
mean,
that.
yeah. Do you have anything better? Like, nah.
No, Celeborns can't be played. Kindred can't. I mean, I could play Kindred for a cycle, but not an advantageous position is a good enough card that I don't need to spend that.
Yeah, I forgot you haven't moved yet, so you will use a ring move, and so that'll be one muster in Pelargir
Right.
potentially.
I pass for now because I don't need to do anything um, right now. He Denethor's Follies, which makes sense.
Hmm.
I pass again. He Olog Highs into Minas Tirith, which is not what I want to see.
No, it will fall.
But I
Just
have
needs
two
some leadership.
daylights and an advantageous, so I can make one of these. Well, I can't do them in Minas Tirith, so I can make Erebor a hard fight.
Yes,
But
especially if you can get Dane next turn.
right, and I come and I'm going to need a heroic hold next round. Yeah, so I ring move, and I get a 0 reveal, which kind of sucks, but I
Yeah.
can't complain too hard. About half the pool was things I would want, even just threes. But
So now there's another use for that muster, which is to hide.
right,
So
so that's nice. I get revealed. I talk to the men and the dwarves about how we should fight, and he comments that he's thinking. I'm like, oh, maybe I should just stop randomly typing nonsense in the chat and distracting him. He moves everybody to Vale of Carnan, I think in anticipation of what you were talking about, where so he can take Dale now before I can reinforce because I've had to ring move, which is super unfortunate.
Right.
And I hide, and he uh oh,
The mouth of Sauron.
really interesting. I'd forgotten this. He spends the ring as a character to shuffle all the things, so he doesn't take Dale. Gives me that shot.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting.
So maybe he's afraid of guards of the Citadel, or
And I certainly
along those lines.
Dane and guards I haven't drawn, and I'm about halfway through the deck, so I would love to get either of those. I can't complain about my card draws in general, but I would love to get either of those.
I'd say
So
this has been a pretty even match overall.
right, he has to take both of these and Dale, probably Dale. It could be Pelargir
Mm.
in one round. Otherwise, I threaten a pretty confident dunk.
Yeah.
So you would say about even 50-50 here?
Yeah.
The no
Yeah.
move
It
there
depends.
really put a pretty big hit on the Fellowship if they'd had even one move.
Yeah, you were pretty ahead until that happened. Yeah, it felt like it took a lot of effort to consolidate and not get any attacks in there. I thought he'd get more attacks in with the turning the musters with the mouth there, but he didn't have enough attacks, I guess, to capitalize.
I think you could have taken Dale. I think that you had a good point there that just preventing me from making a weird last stand. Because if he rolls
Yeah.
only like 4 attacks, you spend 1 or 2 of them taking Dale, you spend 2 or 3 of them taking Minas Tirith, or Erebor, excuse me. You spend a couple on Erebor, a couple on Minas Tirith, and maybe you just run out before you have enough to really take Dale.
Yeah. Yeah, I now have to. Yeah, I think you're still ahead with the Fellowship.
So I draw into a Brave Stand, which will not be helpful, and a Spirit of Mordor, which actually could be helpful in Minas Tirith.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he gets Orc Patrol, which actually could be useful, and Desperate Battle, so or even Cruel as Death, both good effects. So I throw the Brave Stand. Pretty stacked hand for defending.
So Shadow already used the ring you gave him, right?
Yep, to get the Nazgul where they need it to be and the mouth.
Okay. Mm.
So that they're stuck with whatever they roll. Fellowship, okay, 1 I allocated. And all attacks rolled.
Wow. Huh.
uh,
For a
But
second, I
go
thought
ahead.
he was laughing.
Oh yeah, yeah, the roll is ah ha ha ha. Oh
Yeah.
jeez. Oh, that
Oh
was so rough
man.
to see. But
That,
I get enough
nice.
moves for a
Okay.
dunk.
So you both got good rolls. Fair is fair.
Yeah,
So
well,
now you.
I would rather unfair at this point. He has enough
I like to
moves
see
to
that though.
attack anything wherever he wants, however many times he wants. I lose military this round, unless just complete nonsense dice rolls. But I have a shot.
Yeah,
I
you
have
do.
I have 4 moves with a ring and 1 hide somewhere in there. The
Man, this is
pool
coming
is
down to the
half
wire.
reveals, 1 Shelob. Could be done. And I'm at 1 corruption, so I can take whatever I need to take.
It's like that New York, Indiana NBA game, man. It's coming down the wire for the tiebreaker here.
Yeah, yeah. I say, so you're saying there's a chance. I obviously
Wow.
use my will first, so he doesn't get to day without dawn me. And it's a 1 no reveal.
Oh, that's a good start.
It's an excellent start. Come on, hold. He attacks me in his Tirith. I was a little surprised by this. I do think you should attack. Oh well, I was surprised by this, and then he said, "Wait, no, Erebor," I was like, "Darn."
Just in case, yeah. Just in case you have Dane.
Well, if not even Dane, just you're gonna want to cycle your cards rather than attack and spend your cards, right?
That too, yep.
So he does strategy card. I do strategy card. I've got daylights and advantageouses to burn. So it's daylight versus desperate battle.
Perfect.
1 hit in, 2 hits incoming versus only 1. Oh, really? That was a miscount. Desperate battle. He should have taken an extra hit there. Oops. Well,
Um,
we'll find out. Oh, he took it. He did.
yeah,
He knew
he
better
did.
than I. Okay, good.
There.
Okay, I obviously swap out my elites. He pressed, which I thought was weird.
He's got that big army south there. He's a bit
Right.
desperate.
Like, but you have a billion attacks. Why bother? Now, maybe he's thinking, and actually, this is a little point. I think attacking Erebor first is incorrect. I think you attack Dale first from Vale.
Well, I thought he attacked just for fear of Dane. But yeah, otherwise I'm going for Dale, and then I've got that reinforcement army sitting there.
Right, but even if you're afraid of Dane, so okay, so he's pressing in fear of Dane, and he's just burning everything. Get Erebor gone. Okay,
That could be.
that
He
would make
probably figures
sense.
you move. Yeah, he figures you move with your first die because Mordor, right? You don't want more red tiles or BS,
Right,
and then you might still have Dane. So yeah,
Dane would be a pretty big swing here. Card versus card. I get I throw an advantageous this time rather than the daylight, but versus a dread and despair, that's not going to do anything. He gets 2 hits
oh good.
incoming versus nothing or 1 outgoing. So okay, and then he stops, wait, thinking, and then he presses. So I assume he's doing exactly what you're saying. He's scared of Dane and just wants it gone.
Yeah, I can't blame him.
Strategy card versus strategy card. Another daylight versus desperate battle. 1 hit incoming. I say 1, but he correctly takes 2, so I'm glad someone was paying attention.
Second time.
And if I had Dane, I think I still lose, but I guess I played Dane with the muster. He has to spend 2 moves. Well, you hybrid out. Would you play Dane first or hybrid out to Dale? Probably, because he has infinity attacks, right?
Yeah, I might go to Dale instead of playing Dane.
But I don't. I am all in on a ring dunk, so
Oh,
I
you would need
move
all your dice. Yeah.
literally every dice. I have 1 spare if I literally never draw a reveal. And he has Orc Patrol, which could draw a reveal in absolute desperation. I move.
He needs a ring to play it.
Uh, that's true. Yeah, and he draws Shelob.
Oh
Uh,
no!
so
And the
uh,
shadow player rejoices.
yeah, this was as close. I'm not much for the venting channel. I understand its purpose, but this is the closest I've ever been to being like, oh, come on.
Yeah, that is a tough one.
So, but he hasn't won yet, so
No.
might still do it. He attacks Dale from Vale now. Now he knows he has the time, even if I did have Danes. No card, no card. He gets his one hit. Cool. We forget to move the north to war, but whatever. I do spend my hybrid here on Minas Tirith with Spirit of Mordor. A good hit here could buy me the round.
True.
And I get one.
Yeah, not what you needed.
Not what I needed. He makes an elite in Minas Morgul. I do not think that was necessary.
Oh, I wonder what that's. That was a pure muster,
Right.
but you have mouth.
Right. Just move the 5 regulars out. You don't need that elite.
I think he's
Um
trolling you. He knows he's won.
yeah, yeah. We remember to move the north. Okay. He moves a bunch of guys. He thinks about how many he wants to take. I do have one attack, so I could retake Dale. Theoretically from Woodland Realm.
I think you have to, don't you?
I have to. He attacks Erebor. I wait because he's going to take Erebor first. I spend my last card that has any effect, a sudden strike, which doesn't hit. He gets 2 hits incoming to my none outgoing, and Erebor falls for no more hits.
So the
So
elite in Minas Morgul was to take Pelargir in case Dale can't be held, I guess.
maybe, and he certainly has. Now he has 4 attacks and 3 elites is the problem, but only 4 attacks. I should have. Well, so here's the problem. I retake Dale. Okay, what do I retake it with? Everything. I have to bring everything to be really confident.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and then you
I
just
hit twice, and then he just retreats to Erebor with everything, and then comes back with a full stack and near full leadership and a Witch King with cards versus my no cards. I don't
you just
know. I think it's
you can
probably what I
spend
should have done because it's the only option.
yeah.
But I instead ring move to Asgiliath, and nothing else that matters.
Just for fun.
At this point I was kind of just, nah, I'm done. And I thought about it. I was like, oh wait, maybe I should have left a regular in Pelargir so he can't just free move into taking Pelargir instead of Dale if I have to retake Dale. And yeah, he relentless assaults and gets 5 hits on Minas Tirith.
Yeah. I mean,
So
they were toast regardless, but
right, and they get nothing back, which that's a little bit of salt for that wound right there. He presses, gets 1, I get none. He presses, burns relentless, gets what he needs. So I do make my extra
yeah,
move just for kicks, and I get a 3. So yay! But
so even with not drawing a red, you'd have had a hell of a time. It would have taken all your dice to get there, and you
right,
could have potentially used one of your rings against you to get that orc patrol.
right.
Proc.
It would have been a pretty desperation move. It would have had to draw the 1 or the 0 to matter, because the eyes would do nothing. But man, so
Yeah,
a
that
very
was
well played game by him.
yep, that was a nail biter. He had some bad luck early, and he was staring down the barrel like 2 fully loaded Elven realms. That can be pretty depressing with the power too great, but he stuck with it.
Yeah, and he kept his
So
head about him,
well played.
and he set himself up for the victory he got. So that's good on him.
Yep. I think both of you guys played to your outs. There were no massive mistakes.
Yeah, I think I should have taken Dale on that last round just for the absolute Hail Mary. But I don't see that as actually being a thing, because then he'd just consolidate in his Gileath with this Gigantor stack and take Pelargir, even if he didn't feel like taking Dale.
Yeah, you could go back to that turn where you could have moved Woodland Realm into Dale essentially for free instead of moving Karok out, and I wonder if that would have changed things.
Oh yeah.
Because not only is it hard to take with that force, but it's the harrying force that can sit there and attack.
When it,
Anytime a Shadow Army gets weak, you could have attacked it.
right, if Erebor ever attacks and gets reduced to a 6-0 with the Witch King, you attack and really threaten the Witch King's life.
That's it. Kind of make it maybe ends up making it 1 die more expensive or 2 dice more expensive, and maybe that makes a difference.
And to some
The
extent, I put 2.5 dice into mustering Woodland Realm that did quote unquote nothing. No, that's
true.
not entirely fair. It made it so that those 2 points had to be coming from Minas Tirith, but still.
Yeah, the idea that you want to use those troops is probably a good one if you can afford to. If you get the dice that you can spare.
And maybe it would have been worth. I think the will as the first move was a categorical correct, but maybe there's some world where you don't put everything on that on a dunk. Although I think the dunk was extremely reasonable. I needed to not hit. I needed 1 reveal in 3 moves and no Shelob at any point. Which,
It,
we've
seen it happen.
I would say that's something like a 30-40% chance of happening. And I think that's a more likely chance against literally all attacks in that last round to holding Pelargir and Dale. But maybe.
Like, it just shows that this base game here, like with no expansions, is still showing so many opportunities. Like the near miss on Saruman, the way you could have mustered differently in Edoras. We don't know if it's better. There's still so much you could have done.
I think this game is 100% mine if everything else being the same if Saruman falls. He's down 3-4 dice from where he was. Leadership from the Wargs.
Yeah, and it was a 50-50 ball, so it's not like anybody got particularly unlucky. It was just somebody was going to be happy and somebody was going to be upset.
Right. And we'll see if I think people will be able to view this. I'll show the stats. He was actually lower on 6s than me. These are reversed. I was lower on 6s than him, so I was -4 on 6s, which hurt, but I don't feel like there was any particular battle where 2 more hits or 3 more hits would have made the difference.
Maybe not. You didn't hit back. Like I noticed it a few times. Like you had several times where you could have hit back and just didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe smaller army comes out of Lorien to harass you.
Or like Minas Tirith hits 5 back on its first roll and takes only 2 or something like that. That one thing might have made a difference, but meh.
It's like you got your luck in different places in terms of getting the wills.
Yeah, and to be hyper clear, I think my luck was extremely fair this game. I wish he hadn't drawn Shelob, but I think my luck was fair. I had excellent battle cards, and I didn't get hit that many times to Mordor, and I got hit for numbers I wanted. So,
yeah, I think it was a reasonable game luck-wise. I think you both played to your outs, played your game plan, and it was very close. You were going to win next turn.
Yep, almost certainly. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I enjoy these dual casts. It helps play off someone when I know the results. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for producing all the awesome content. You're doing all the work.
My pleasure.
The community loves you.
Well, thank you for saying that. This is unfortunately the end of my 2025 tournament run. This was the tiebreaker, so I will be done here. We'll see. I have some toying with some ideas of I might do some casts of the games, maybe follow Jay-Z on his way up the thing, see if he can take it all, and then I get to say I lost to the winner or something like that. We'll see what ends up happening, but good luck to him in the future. Happy. Yeah, I'm sure he would. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, good luck to JCW. And yeah, be happy, be proud. You did very well.
Yeah, round of 32. I am not ashamed of that. I'm pretty happy with that. So, and something like 30-40% shot even in the last round at round of 16. I'll take that all day. So, All right.
100%.
Well, thank you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Cheerio.